Hello, very good evening to all of you. Today, I would like to discuss about variance analysis. I think you all know about variance. Simple dictionary meaning of variance is difference. Difference between what? Difference between standard, or you can say budgeted, and actual. Now, variance involves assessing the difference between two figures. Variance is a tool, you can say, applied to finance and operational data that aims to identify and determine the cause of the variance. Variance is of different forms. Variance helps maintain control over a project's expenses by monitoring planned versus actual costs. This is in this type of business in project management. Effective variance analysis can help a company spot trends, issues, opportunities, and threats to short-term or long-term success. Variance, you can say, is an important to assist with managing budgets by controlling budgeted versus actual costs. In program and project management, as for example, you can say financial data are generally assessed at key intervals or milestones. So variance between planned and actual costs might lead to adjusting business goals, objectives, or strategies. Is that clear? It means, in a nutshell, you can say variance is nothing. Variance is the difference between budgeted costs or standard costs and actual cost. Budgeted is what? Budget is an estimated cost, which you can estimate before starting something. And actual is actual cost which is incurred. So if there is any difference between budgeted and actual, that is standard and actual, you can say there is a variance. This variance may be positive, or you can say favorable, or you can say negative, that is adverse. When it is favorable or positive, when standard cost is more than the actual, then you can say the variance is favorable or positive. Whereas when actual is more than the standard, then you can say the variance is negative or unfavorable or adverse. So, variance analysis may be favorable, may be adverse. Favorable when standard is more than the actual. Adverse when the standard is less than the actual. Is that clear to all of you? Huh? Now, this variance may be in material, in labor, or in expenses. As we know that material variance, that is direct material cost variance, direct labor cost variance, and overhead cost variance. It means there may be difference between the standard material cost and actual material cost. So, in the case of labor also, standard labor and actual labor cost. So one by one we will discuss material cost variance, labor cost variance, and thereafter overhead cost variance. Now I will ask you one question. What is standard cost and how you can measure the standard cost? What is standard? Standard cost is predetermined cost which you are determining before starting production. So what are the elements? What are the factors which you need to consider to calculate standard cost? To calculate standard cost, we need two factors. That is standard price and standard quantity. It means if anyone will ask you to calculate standard cost, then you say standard cost is the multiplication of standard price and standard quantity. The same way like if anyone will ask you how to calculate actual cost is the multiplication of actual price and actual quantity. So, first of all, we have to calculate direct material cost variance. How to calculate direct material cost variance? As you know, that one is asking you to calculate cost variance. So which cost variance you want to calculate? We know well that there are only two costs here in this variance analysis. One is standard cost and other one is actual cost. It means the difference between the standard and actual is known as variance. Standard, the difference between the standard cost and actual cost is known as cost variance. So when we calculate standard cost and calculate actual cost, and when we will see if there is any difference between the standard cost and actual cost, and if the standard cost is more than the actual cost, it means the variance is positive, favorable. And when we will see if the standard cost is less than the actual cost, then we can say the cost variance is adverse. Now you see the board in which I have written material cost variance on the right side of the board. SC stands for standard cost and AC stands for actual cost. SC It is written in standard price multiplied by standard quantity, and AC is actual cost, is actual price multiplied by actual quantity. Suppose the standard price is 50 rupees and actual quantity is 2 units. That is, standard price per unit is 50, standard quantity is 2 meter. Actual price incurred is 40 and actual quantity is also 2 meter. Then the standard cost will become 100 rupees, that is 50 multiplied by 2, and actual is 40 multiplied by 2 is 80. Here what we see standard cost is 100 and actual cost is 80. It means standard cost is more than the actual cost. It means this 20 rupees is favorable variance, that is positive. Is that clear? Now, if I say how you calculate, now this standard cost, that is cost variance, segregated into two parts. One is price variance and one is quantity variance, that is users variance. Now one is asking you, what is direct material price variance? Price variance means price difference. Which price difference we are talking about? That is only two: standard price and actual price. It means direct material price variance is the difference between standard price and actual price multiplied by actual quantity. And the second variance may be quantity or users variance. Quantity variance means again the same way, standard quantity and actual quantity. So direct material users variance we calculate as the difference between standard quantity minus actual quantity multiplied by standard price. Now, again this standard, that direct material quantity, that is users variance, again segregated into two parts. That is, suppose you are using 2 meters of the clothes for one shirt. That 2 meter clothes consists of two colors, that is 50 centimeter for black and 1 meter 50 centimeters for white, because the collar of the shirt is black and the body is white. So we are using 50 centimeter of black and 1.5 meter of white. So the total meter we need of 2 meters. It means this quantity variance or users variance depends on two factors. That is direct material mix variance, because there is a mixture of white and black, and then the second one is users, that is output variance, that is how much we are producing, yield is how much. So this mix variance, my users variance or quantity variance will depend segregated into two parts, that is direct material mix variance and direct material yield variance. Now, as I've already told you, that we will calculate price variance as the difference between standard price and actual price multiplied by actual quantity. And material uses variance or quantity variance is standard quantity minus actual quantity multiplied by standard price. Now this quantity variance again segregated into two, mix variance and yield variance. How you calculate material mix variance? Material mix variance is the difference between revised standard quantity, that is in place of standard quantity we calculate a revised standard quantity minus actual quantity multiplied by standard price. And yield variance is the difference between standard yield minus actual yield multiplied by standard cost. So this is in this way we calculate direct material cost, direct material price, direct material quantity, direct material mix, and direct material yield variance. Now we come to direct labor cost variance. Very easy. Only thing we will have to change. In cost variance we are using price variance, but in labor we are using rate variance. In place of direct material price variance, we will use direct labor rate variance in labor variance. Here in material variance, material variance what we use direct material quantity variance. Here we are using quantity, and in labor we are using hours, that is efficiency. So direct material, here we are calculating direct material cost variance. Here we will calculate direct labor cost variance. Again, direct labor cost variance is what? Difference between standard labor cost minus actual labor cost. Labor cost variance, how you calculate? That is standard price, standard rate multiplied by standard hours. How you calculate actual labor cost? Actual rate multiplied by actual hours. In material, what we have used? We have used standard price. Here we are using standard rate. In material, we have used standard quantity or actual quantity. Here we are using standard hours and actual hours. This is the only difference. Otherwise, everything is same. Now, this rate variance again segregated into two, just like material variance. Material variance segregated into two, price and quantity. Here in place of price, rate variance, and in place of quantity, here also efficiency variance. So, in material cost variance, how you calculate standard material price variance? That is difference between standard price and actual price. In labor rate variance, how you calculate? Rate variance, standard rate minus actual rate multiplied by actual hours. In price variance, what we have used? Standard price. Here we are using standard rate. In material, we have used actual price. Here we are using actual hours. Actual rate. In price variance, what we have used? Actual quantity. Here we are using actual hours. So in rate variance is the difference between standard rate minus actual rate multiplied by actual hours. Now, how you calculate direct labor efficiency variance? Efficiency means hours variance, just like material quantity variance. Standard quantity, how you have calculated quantity variance, how you calculate it? Standard quantity, here we are using standard hours. Actual quantity, here we are using actual hours. It means hours variance, that is efficiency variance, is the difference between standard hours minus actual hours multiplied by standard rate. In material, what we have used standard price. Here we are using standard rate. Means direct material quantity or users variance is standard price, and direct labor efficiency variance is standard rate. In direct material quantity variance, standard price multiplied by standard quantity minus actual quantity. In direct labor efficiency variance, hours variance is what? Standard rate multiplied by standard hours minus actual hours. Now, in material, what we have seen, quantity variance or users variance segregated into two, that is mix variance and material mix and material yield. Here is labor mix and labor yield. In material mix means the mixture of white clothes and black clothes. In labor, what? Skilled labor and unskilled labor. So, again the same way, mix variance is, that is revised standard quantity minus actual quantity. Here, revised standard hours minus actual hours. In mix variance, revised standard quantity minus actual quantity multiplied by what? Standard rate. Because in mix variance, standard revised standard quantity minus actual quantity multiplied by standard price. Here is revised standard hours minus actual hours multiplied by standard rate. The next one is direct labor yield variance. Yield variance, standard rate, standard yield minus actual yield multiplied by standard cost. Is that clear? In this way, we know about material variance and labor variance. So I don't think there is any problem to understand this material and labor variance. Am I right? Okay, now if we if there is any problem to understand this, then you can ask me questions. If not, then we will discuss the next one in the next class. Okay, next class we will discuss the calculations related to material cost variance and labor cost variance. Okay, thank you very much.